Night one of WrestleMania is in the book, in the pocket, out of sight, and boy did it deliver big time. There were a lot of great matches. Honestly, not many terrible moments that you can say. There were a few, but we'll get into that here on the full breakdown of WrestleMania Night 1. So to start off, we had Drew McIntyre taking on the reigning defending WWE Champion, the almighty Bobby Lashley, and the story of the match became, could Lashley get the Hurt Lock in all the way? We saw throughout the match, Bobby 2 or 3 times tried to get it in fully, but he wasn't able to get the fingers together. He wasn't able to put the full pressure down on the neck of Drew McIntyre. And with Drew, the story of the match was, can he hit him with the Claymore? And there were a few times he tried to do that as well. The finishing sequence of the match ended up being Drew trying to do a Claymore, but there was a distraction by MVP on the outside. He missed the Claymore, which gave Bobby Lashley an opportunity to put in the Hurt Lock and finally wrench it in, locking both hands, putting the pressure down on the neck of Drew McIntyre. And boy, did Drew McIntyre show why he's one of the best performers in wrestling today. Drew McIntyre passed out, did not tap out, and Bobby Lashley retained his WWE Championship. This was a huge diversion from what a lot of fans thought would happen. A lot of people thought that Drew McIntyre would win, considering the fact that he essentially carried the company for a year. But that's not what happened. It looks like Bobby Lashley is going to be a champion. And just remember, everyone, before we get upset, the reason we like good people, the reason we like baby faces, is because of the chase. So expect that to be the story. Drew McIntyre chasing the title moving forward. Up next, we had the Women's Tag Team Turmoil match. Now, I'm not going to lie, the beginning of this match was not great. There were a few botches. There were quite a few times where you could tell things weren't going as crisply as they should have been. But I will say the one big bright spot of this match was the Riot Squad. Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan were able to come in and honestly carry a lot of this match. They were able to carry people who might not be as experienced as they are through a lot better of a performance than they would have rather had. And they were crisp in their moves and their deliveries. And I cannot say enough about the Riot Squad and their performance tonight. They are honestly an undercard MVP, if there is one, tonight. And they ended up losing, though, to Natalya and Tamina in this Women's Tag Team Turmoil match, which means Natalya and Tamina are going to be facing Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax tomorrow at WrestleMania Sunday for the WWE Women's Tag titles. And it sets up a very interesting scenario. We have Tamina and going up and facing Nia Jax, and then Shayna Baszler and Natalya. It's a good matchup too. I think this is going to be a very interesting scenario tomorrow night. We'll see if Tamina can win her first title in WrestleMania in WWE. Let's find out. Next, we had Cesaro, the Swiss Cyborg, taking on the Messiah, Seth Rollins. Now, not gonna lie, the build to this match was kind of eh. You know, we knew that Cesaro refused to join forces with Seth Rollins, and that kind of angered Rollins. But the match itself was great. And this is where good match storytelling comes in. Because the story going into the match was how Cesaro has never won a singles match at WrestleMania. The story how Cesaro has never had a singles match at WrestleMania, and how over his decade in WWE, he has been nothing but a disappointment. And that's what Seth Rollins focused on. And Cesaro came in, and there were multiple times where he just showed the fire of somebody who has been held down for over a decade. The fire of somebody who wants to grab that brass ring and rip the ceiling down. And the best of Cesaro was showcased tonight. Seth Rollins also did a great performance. They had a spot, and this was probably the spot of the night for me, where Seth Rollins was on Cesaro's shoulders in a torture rack position, and Cesaro takes his arms off and spins around with Rollins on his shoulders. The balance was amazing. Spins him around like 10 times. Crazy spot. Definitely check it out if you haven't already. But Cesaro got his first victory, And boy, this was a good match. It was a really good match. Over-delivered in a lot of ways. I was not expecting, to care, honestly, as much as I did. So, but kudos to both of them. They really made people care. Up next, we had The New Day, Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston defending their Raw Tag Team titles against Omos and AJ Styles. And ring psychology was the name of the game here. The New Day, for almost the entire match, were beating up on AJ Styles. And again, ring psychology played a huge factor into this, because you saw multiple times New Day splitting the ring in half. New Day not letting AJ get across the center of the ring and really putting him in a corner. The New Day were actually working, like heels for a lot of this match, but what they were showcasing was their ability and their experience as tag team wrestlers. AJ Styles, not a tag team wrestler. Bulk of his career, he's been a very singles-oriented, very singles wrestler, and he doesn't have that type of chemistry with Omos. And what we saw here was Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods actually toying with AJ Styles throughout the match. They were saying how this is tag team wrestling. You got to cut the ring in half, AJ, kind of like tongue-in-cheek about it. And it was very interesting because they were very cocky when AJ was in there, and AJ got beat down for the majority of the match, but he wasn't pinned. But when he made that tag to Omos, let me tell you, the look on Kofi Kingston's face, I don't think he was pretending. I think he was really scared. It went immediately from, jovial and kind of like courageous or whatever, and arrogant, to, oh my God, I'm about to die. And Omos came in there. He no-sold everything, just like a big man, what you would expect a big man to do. Nothing phased him, and he whooped Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston across the ring. And there was a spot where AJ did a phenomenal forearm off the shoulders of the 7'3" Omos, which is crazy. And Omos pinned the New Day in the middle of the ring with 1 foot. 1, 2, 3. AJ and Omos are the new WWE Raw Tag Team Champions. Next, we had the worst built feud in WrestleMania history. It was Shane McMahon taking on Braun Strowman. Now, the feud was built around what? Shane McMahon, over the past few weeks, calling Braun Strowman stupid. And then Shane McMahon, over the past few weeks, attacking Braun Strowman, getting one up on Braun Strowman, putting him through a table, and then sliming him. Again, this was not a match that people were excited to see. It was a steel cage match. We saw Shane try to get some early advantage by having Jackson Riker and Elias attack Braun Strowman on the outside with a steel chair, and they attacked the knee. The knee was the focus of the match for Shane. It was honestly a pretty match. Not great. I wasn't into it. The crowd wasn't into it until towards the end, because Braun Strowman actually did something that we like seeing Braun Strowman do. He was a big monster who ripped the cage. So Shane McMahon's going on the outside of the cage. Braun Strowman grabs Shane McMahon's hand through the mesh and pulls him forward right before he takes his hand and rips down the mesh from the cage, swinging Shane McMahon back into the ring. Then he did a huge slam on Shane from the top of the cage, then a running power slam for the quick 1, 2, 3. Braun Strowman victorious at WrestleMania. Don't mess it up, WWE. Next, we had Bad Bunny making his WWE debut. So Bad Bunny and Damian Priest took on The Miz and Morrison. Miz and Morrison came out doing a rap number. They were rapping on the way to the ring with dozens of bunnies, or people dressed as bunnies, in the ring. Really weird, if you ask me. Story of the match was not the match itself, but John Morrison's mullet. Check it out online. It was really funny. But honestly, real story of the match, Bad Bunny. Literally, I genuinely believe this is the best celebrity debut we've ever seen. Better than McAfee, better than LT, better than a lot of people who've done the celebrity role. Bad Bunny did wrestling moves, and they were crisp, and he was in for most of the match. Everyone expected this to be the Damien pre-show and then Bad Bunny getting, 1 or 2 spots, right? No. Bad Bunny dominated, honestly, a lot of this matchup. And he did wrestling moves, and he didn't mess up once. That's what the crazy thing is. And, you can argue, yeah, they were choreographed or whatever, but that doesn't matter. Usually people never do these right even when they're choreographed. He did a toe drag, did a cradle. He was able to do suplexes. He was able to do a dive, one of the best like dives from the top rope I've seen. And on top of that, he did a code red to Morrison on the outside of the ring. It was amazing. Bad Bunny is money. Loved it. They got the win on 1, 2, 3 by Bad Bunny. Again, I was happily surprised by this. This is one of the best, if not the best, celebrity match in WrestleMania history. And finally, we had the main event of WrestleMania Night 1 for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Sasha Banks defending her title against the EST of WWE, Bianca Belair. And the story of this match was the hair of Bianca Belair, because Sasha Banks made it a key to focus in on her large braid, made it a key to focus in on pulling it whenever she could, pulling it to get an advantage, pulling it against the ropes. That was a lot of the match, and you know, these two went out there and they had a great match. We saw the EST of WWE many times have very close calls. She did a 450 off the top rope. We thought it was over then. Little did we know it wasn't. The boss had the bank statement, was able to get it in, but Belair able to power out and get to the ropes. And then the finishing sequence, Bianca Belair hit her finishing move, 1, 2, 3 in the middle of the ring after Banks tried to pull on her hair, but Bianca Belair pulled it back, said no, it was over. Bianca Belair is the new SmackDown Women's Champion. What a night one. This was great. I can honestly say that it exceeded my expectations for the most part. Shane versus Braun was pretty but honestly, I was really happy seeing this. Thanks for watching this video from Real Take Sports Talk. Remember to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Also, remember to check out our live show every single Thursday at 8 p.m. right here on the YouTube channel. And remember, keep it real.